Well, hello friends, and welcome to Ariel's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. I apologise in advance, this video is likely to be less edited than normal because I'm low on time and editing takes longer than actually filming. I'm in an airport hotel, Birmingham Airport in the UK. I've been shooting all day and doing personal appearances, and I am celebrating the end of the day by making a video about where I am with my second book, Dirty, which is nearing publication. It's a diary of submission, sex work and survival, and it's the most personal thing I've ever even considered publishing. It's incredibly intimate in what I'm sharing, but what I'm sharing I think is really important, both because it explains who I am and why, but also because I very much hope it will help other people. With the publication of my first book, I realised that a lot of readers had similar experiences. So specifically for book one, I heard from a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-cult members who grew up kinky as well and grew up thinking that their sexuality made them sinful and basically evil. And in book two, I am addressing the fact of having a childhood that featured abuse. And I'm really hoping that, just like with my first book, I managed to reach some ex-cult members and my words were of value to them. I'm hoping this time round I can reach some survivors of child abuse. But that's not all I'm hoping to do. I've also, in this book, written the most intimate and explicit accounts of my actual sex life, what I actually like, what I actually do when the cameras aren't rolling. And that feels important too, because I hope it might give people some inspiration for things they want to try. I hope it might inspire people who've not yet had a BDSM relationship but who want to. I hope it might give them some ideas of what to look out for, what really makes good BDSM sex, at least in my opinion. And I'm also hoping to lift the lid on more detail about how the industry I work in works, because I think it is a fascinating world. I've never stopped being interested in it. It was a joy to write about my custom video customers, the sort of work I do, the sort of thing that goes on behind the scenes at the BDSM shoots you'll see the results of all over social media. So it has been a real labour of love. I am sad that writing the book is over, but I'm happy that finishing writing means that I am about to share it with you. So writing Dirty took me 12 months because it's a year diary. So I started in January 2024 and finished writing in December 2024. The next thing I did was I edited it so that I got a cleaner manuscript at the end of, I read it through once, edited, read it through again, edited as I went. Then I sent it to a kinky writer friend of mine for initial feedback before sharing it with anyone else who I would have a professional relationship with. I found a developmental editor who worked on the story with me to make sure it all hung together and was satisfying to read and that it all made sense to someone who didn't have prior knowledge of my story. I sent it to a copy editor who tidied it up so that all the grammar, punctuation, spelling is correct and consistent throughout the book. Then I commissioned a barrister who is a specialist in media law to read the book and to give me a report about what I needed to change to avoid risk of being prosecuted for libel, which was quite a detailed process, which took some time. Then I needed to find a formatting assistant to turn my manuscript, which was a PDF, into something which I could print as an actual book or as an ebook. Then I had to hire a cover designer. I then had to book a studio and a photographer for the cover shoot, because I'm going to be on the cover of my own book again. Then I had to find a publishing assistant who will help me get my book onto all the relevant platforms. Then I had to purchase software and microphones in order to record the audiobook. I'm in the middle of learning how to record professionally from home in a home studio, which I will build. I will then record the audiobook, which is likely to take me 3 to 4 days. I will then edit the audiobook, which will probably take me another 3 to 4 days. And we should be ready to launch. Publication day is scheduled for early June. So I am really excited at how much of the work associated with the project is done and how little comparatively there is left. But I always knew towards the end game, when almost everything was done, I was going to crowdfund, and the platform I decided to crowdfund on was Kickstarter because it's a really big name, and furthermore it has been historically pretty liberal about the kind of work it will allow. So sexuality and erotica and LGBTQ friendly projects were all allowed, as well as artistic nudity. So I felt like I'd be in a pretty safe place because what I'm trying to raise money for is well below the level of explicitness or pornographic content of other projects on their site. However, I built my crowdfunding page, which took quite some time because it was complicated. I created all my reward tiers and all the items that were going to be available. They recommend you make a launch video, so I made my launch video, which those of you who edit video will know it takes hours, especially when you add captions and music and voiceovers. And that was where I hit my first roadblock because they rejected my video. They said that the voiceover was too explicit in its references to sex, and that some of the imagery, including a picture of me in a bikini, was too sexual. Now, this was a huge shock to me because Kickstarter features campaigns by lingerie designers, so there's a lot of very skimpy lingerie on Kickstarter, far more skimpy than my bikini was. The bikini picture was just a holiday snap, it wasn't sexual at all. They also have a lot of artistic nudity on Kickstarter. I didn't have any nude images in my video. And I had already made the voiceover much less explicit after the first rejection, so there was no longer even the word sex in it. It was all incredibly euphemistic and kind of safe for work already. So when they rejected it again, I went and had another look at Kickstarter and saw the sort of projects they have approved, some of which were just so pornographic in comparison to mine. And I don't mean that as a criticism, but they were so much more naked, so much more suggestive. You know, there were books about like kinky sex positions. There was a book about cock and ball torture with photographs of men with erections. I mean, there was so much that was so far beyond what my launch video was and so far beyond what my book is, because my book is not pornographic. My book has erotic content in it, but more like 50 Shades of Grey than kink.com because it's writing. So at that point, I just became so angry because in my career, I have faced discrimination and stigma over and over again, and that's what I thought was probably going on with Kickstarter. I was already exploited by my first publisher for my first book, who went into administration owing me thousands of pounds and owing many other authors thousands of pounds. And I'm just tired of people not being as trustworthy as I am. So I decided to axe Kickstarter and to do the crowdfunding myself. Lovely Howell, my husband, and I sat down and figured out how to do that. So I've now got a crowdfunding page on my Shopify store, link below, which allows me to crowdfund, and we got an app add-on so we can track progress. So it's very much like the interface of a Kickstarter campaign. At the time of recording this, my crowdfunder has been running less than 2 days and we're already at 36% funded, which is how much money? It's £3,645, and I'm so grateful. I've actually also received a donation of £700 privately, not through the platform. So actually I'm getting very close already to 50% funded, which I'm so grateful for. I think 3% more will get us to halfway there. But I cannot pretend it hasn't been pretty tiring and stressful getting to that point. I mean, I love a challenge, but it certainly has been a challenge because I've had to take on information in so many different departments. Anyway, so for now, you can contribute to my crowdfunder by pre-ordering my book. There are multiple formats. You can pre-order the ebook or the paperback or the audiobook or multiples of those. You can order a signed paperback or a personally inscribed one with a message from me. Loads of people are going for that option, which I'm really grateful for. More rewards will also be added to add value, but I do already have some grand patron options for super fans, for people who have the means and the inclination to get me towards my goal even faster. So there is an afternoon tea option. So you'll get a personally signed copy of the book, which I will bring to afternoon tea with you. I will take you out in a UK city that we will choose between us. Last time for my first book, mostly we went to different lovely hotels in the West End. I took someone to the Dorchester, to the Rosewood, to the Savoy, to St Ermines, to Fortnum's. It was lovely, and I'm really looking forward to doing that again. And two people have already chosen that option, which I'm delighted about. But there's also an even grander option, which is afternoon tea with me, signed copy of the book, which I can sign in front of you if you'd like. But then I will also write you a personal essay about our meeting. So I will write you a report from my perspective of what it was like meeting you, what we talked about, what I found interesting about you. And there'll be a choice for you then. You can either just keep the essay for yourself, or I will edit it to make sure you are anonymised sufficiently, and we'll work on that together. And then I will publish it on my Substack for other people to enjoy, which I totally understand. Some people would love that idea, and for some people that sounds absolutely horrific. So that is entirely open to negotiation whether you want that published or not. But then my maximum package, which is £1,500, and one person has actually gone for it, and I'm incredibly grateful and excited. It will be the afternoon tea, the signed book, and then I will write a audiobook chapter about you and our meeting, which I will record for you with professional equipment and professionally edit and present to you. And again, there will be the choice of whether you just keep that for yourself or whether I actually publish it either on YouTube or Substack, or actually as part of the audiobook for Dirty, because I'm sure what we talk about at the tea will be relevant to the book. And I've always liked talking about my relationships with my customers, and so I think it would sit really well either as a epilogue to this book, Dirty, or to my next book. So I'm really excited to see if any more people go for those options, because I'm really excited to provide them. It seemed wrong as a writer not to have a reward option that involved my writing, and I can't wait to hopefully write about some of the amazing people who've supported me over the years. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you find it tempting, and I will really look forward to hopefully getting an email with your name telling me that you have pre-ordered a copy. The next time you hear from me, hopefully, will be when we reach the 50% mark, and I'm going to release a recording of the first chapter of the book, which I am very, very excited by. I just can't wait to share Dirty with the world and with you. Thanks as always for watching. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye.